and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good and good people of the tube. Hope you're well today, hope you're feeling grand, and always in your world. Hello there, everybody. Today's vid, everybody, is about this legendary orange thing right here. The MXR Phase 90. Now, this pedal is just one of those pedals of legendary status. Thanks to players like Eddie Van Halen, this thing is just like, will live forever. It's just one of those special things. I'll say this is not the script logo MXR Phase 90 that Eddie Van Halen used. This is the later model with the kind of kind of block logo, and it's got the indicator light. But I think it's a slightly different circuit as well. I believe this one's slightly different to the original script, but they both do that Phase 90 thing. You know what I mean? A Phase 90 sounds like a Phase 90 to me. You know what I mean? It really does. I've never tried a script logo. I've tried a couple of these. I've never tried an original script one before. But they're just legendary pedal. Absolutely legendary pedal. And funny enough, I associate these pedals. I know Eddie is a big user of the Phase 90. He always was. You know, that was part of his sound. You know, Eruption on the first Van Halen record. It's that. You know what I mean? But for me, because I didn't know of Eddie straight off the bat, the first introduction I had to the Phase 90 pedal was Thin Lizzy. Although I found out recently, because I always associate the Phase 90 with Scott Gorham and then Eddie Van Halen, because it was Scott who always had that kind of whooshy, swirly, phasey sound that I was always like, oh, it's Scott Gorham pedal. So when I heard Eddie Van Halen use the Phase 90, I actually said out loud, oh, he's using the Scott Gorham pedal. Because I just associate this pedal with Scott more than I do Eddie, because Scott came first, and I love Scott's guitar playing. It's just ridiculous. And his lead playing, I mean, he was mainly, you know, he was the rhythm guy. He didn't want to be, you know, but his solos, Dancing in the Moonlight, you know, the live version of Still in Love with You, you know, stuff like that. You know, I'm sure the more eagle-eyed among you could guess where the intro jam came from today. But and I'm trying to channel Scott, you know what I mean, with elements of Brian Robertson and Eddie Van Halen in there as well. But Scott's the guy I associate with this pedal more than Eddie. And I know that sounds backwards, but it's just the way I came across it first. So I always see it as the Scott Gorham pedal before Eddie Van Halen. I know that's wrong in some people's books. I'm sure that appears like, whoa, what are you doing? But to me, because Scott came first, I have always seen it as the Scott Gorham pedal. Although I found out recently that Scott said it was a flanger pedal he used, not a phase. But I could swear in some of those old pictures of Thin Lizzy playing live, and I have a VHS video of them playing live in Dangerous live at the Rainbow. And Scott looks cool. He's dressed head to toe in red, and he's got his ridiculously long hair and his Les Paul Deluxe, and his tone is just ridiculously awesome. And you can see a phase pedal, but I don't think it's a Phase 90. I think it's the Phase 100, the bigger version. Although I have seen him with what looks like a Phase 90 on the floor as well. But he did say, I was watching an interview with him recently where he was talking about he used a flanger pedal. But he did mention he had a Phase 90 as well. So whether the flange pedal just got used in the studio or what, I don't know. Because Scott was never really one for many pedals on the floor. If you look at most Thin Lizzy gigs, in the early days, when he first joined, around the fighting, around the nightlife era, he had a wah-wah pedal. And he had the phase, and I'm pretty sure he had the flanger as well. So he had those three pedals. But eventually, you know, by the time Live and Dangerous comes around, the wah pedal's gone. You know, Brian Robertson's got the wah pedal. Scott doesn't need the wah pedal at that point. He just has the Phase 90 and the flange pedal. I'm pretty sure he's got both of those, and that's all he's got. And he's just relying on his Deluxe and his Marshalls to give him the gain he requires and the sustain. And I believe these add sustain and stuff like that when you crank it. I mean, I don't know. I've never actually ran these into a flat-out kind of like old Marshall or anything like that. But I do believe that kind of like these old pedals would actually add certain oomph when you turn them on. And the live VHS video I've got of Live and Dangerous when they're playing Rainbow, every solo Scott does, he turns this thing on. You know what I mean? Although, actually, yeah, come to figure, I think the Rainbow gig I got of VHS, it looks like a Phase 90. I do have another DVD of them playing in Sydney and that looks like the Phase 100. It's a bit bigger. But again, the footage isn't that great and you can never really tell. But pretty much every solo that Scott does, Dance in the Moonlight, Massacre, Still in Love with You, Are You Ready? Every song on that thing. Every time he does a solo, he kicks this thing in over the top. And it's set to about there. It's always really slow. And it just kind of like, it just adds a little dynamic, you know, and that's what the gorgeousness of the Phase 90 is. It just adds extra texture to your guitar solos and your guitar tone in general. I mean, Eddie Van Halen used it to that great extent with it turned all the way down. Scott Gorham had it a little bit higher, although he would mess with it, you can hear, you know, it fluctuates. But it just adds a little bit of kind of an extra movement to your sound, you know, more. And it's more sort of an a wah-wah. You know what I mean? It's nice and gentle. It's not as kind of like abrupt and as aggressive as a wah-wah pedal. It's a lot more kind of watery and smooth. I'll be back in a sec. Sorry about that, people tube. My sister came around and I had to sort some bits out. Anyway, hello again. So yeah, anyway, I forgot where I was because it's been a while. So anyway, but yeah, like I say, I associate this pedal more with Scott Gorham because Scott was there first. Eddie came later. But it is obviously known as the Eddie Van Halen pedal, Phase 90. Not this one necessarily, more of a script phase. In all fairness, my history on the Phase 90 of when it switched to this logo instead of the script logo is, I don't know. But either way, this thing sounds exactly... It does what I want a Phase 90 to do. And I've never owned a Phase 90. And like I say, I mean, if you saw in the recent video, my John Frusciante pedal board, that was the main reason for me buying one of these things and owning one of these things. I've never really felt the pull to own one, but when I decided I really, you know, because I'd ummed and ahed about that pedal board for years, and when I thought, you know what, I want John's Californication board, and I need a Phase 90, I had to have one, you know what I mean? And I'm really glad I've got one now because it's just, I think it's one of those effects that you just kind of like don't realise you need until you have it. You know, and it's so cool. And as a textural thing, it's just glorious. So what we're going to do today, people tube, is basically we're going to go. I'm going to stick to the RTL 59 because I'm in Scott Gorham mode. Excuse me. And basically what we're going to do is I'm just going to play it clean, and we're just going to, you know, it's simple as can be pedal, isn't it? It's just speed on the thing. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go round the dial in clean, and then I'll go round the dial in distortion. And then I'll come up with another loop at the end. I might do a really spaced out loop actually at the end and do, like, basically just do like another little song for you because there's not much to show with this pedal. You know, it's a single dial pedal and it's a phaser, you know, and it's the ultimate phaser really when you think about it. You know, it's the legendary phaser, should I say? Ultimate phaser, debatable that one I suppose. Depends on what you want. But it's the legendary phaser, the Phase 90. You know, it conjures up a lot of images. Like I say, for me, it's Scott Gorham first, and then Eddie Van Halen. Nothing against Eddie, but Eddie just came second. Scott came first. I remember hearing, you know, Still in Love with You live and Dance in the Moonlight and stuff like that live, and you can hear this pedal just kind of like just slow, like nice and gently manipulating Scott's tone. And he, like I say, that video I've got of him playing. It just, every solo, he clicks this thing on. You know what I mean? Every solo, he clicks this thing on. It's so cool. Anyway, and his guitar tone. I always preferred Scott's tone to any other Thin Lizzy guitarist. Eric Bell, Gary Moore, Brian Robertson, Snowy White, John Sykes. Who else was there? Midge. You know, I've always preferred Scott's guitar tone over any of theirs. Brian Robertson probably comes second in the lineup, but Scott's tone has always appealed to me. I think I have to do a video one day, and I'm going to do one of my Guitar Hero videos on Scott because he kind of gets a bit too overlooked, I think, and he shouldn't be overlooked, especially for his lead playing. His lead playing was just gorgeous, and he wasn't as fast as Brian, and he wasn't probably as accomplished as Brian, but Scott's solos, I actually preferred him to Brian Robertson's, and Brian Robertson's amazing, but Scott Gorham's solos just get me more. You know, Dance in the Moonlight being a great example of that. Dance in the Moonlight that to me is a solo that every guitarist should learn. because it's got everything in it. You know what I mean? It's got all these pentatonic runs. It's got gorgeous bends. It's got this kind of movement down the neck. And it's just amazing. I wish I could play it, but I can't. But I don't know. Copyright law. Anyway, enough talking. Let's get on and yeah. Let's just hear the Phase 90 in all its glory. So like I say, we're going to stick to the RTL 59 today. I've got no desire really to go to a Strat or a Tele. Again, to me it's a Scott Gorham pedal. Even when I played it the other day on my John Frusciante board, and when I do play with it on the John Frusciante board, I just get pulled by Scott. You know what I mean? Even more so than Eddie, even more so than how John used it. You know, I just get pulled by that sound that I knew growing up. I mean, I first heard Scott Gorham in probably 2003. And then 2004, 2005, 2006, I had a huge binge on Thin Lizzy. I love Thin Lizzy, one of my favourite bands of all time, with some of the coolest songs ever. And Scott always stuck out to me. I always had to find out who he is. I've actually got a picture of him on my wall in my bedroom still. He's been there since like 2004, you know, because I just love his playing. I love his sound. I love the way he is. It's so cool. And I've got massive hair envy of Scott Gorham as well. I would kill to have had his hair. Anyway, moving along. So let's get on to the Phase 90. So I don't know what this one's called. I'm just going to call it the block logo. Even though it's not really a block. It's kind of like a rounded over square or rectangle, if you will. Anyway, let's turn it on and let's go. This is just the CR120 clean. Okay, people of tube, there you go. There's not much to say about this pedal. There really isn't. There's not, that hasn't already been said. It's legendary for a reason. You can hear Eddie Van Halen in there. You can hear all these classic sounds in this pedal. You know what I mean? It really does it. You know what I mean? It does Scott Gorham, Eddie Van Halen, it does that thing, and it's just wicked. And like I said, it's one of those pedals I didn't realise I needed or even wanted until I played on it. And then I was like, now where have you been? And why have I not gone for one of these before? Because I have played on Phase 90s. I've played a few like this, but I've never bought one. And I think that's the thing, is like every time I've tried one was in like a guitar shop atmosphere, and you never really get a great idea, especially if you're kind of a nervous guitar shop person like me. You never get a great idea of how you're going to live with it. And having lived with this for quite a while now, I really love it. I really love it, and it's just one of those pedals that I'll always have now because I just enjoy it. Is it one of those pedals I would use all the time? No, it's not. But for recording and playing around, yeah, definitely. For textural stuff, my God, it's so cool. And yeah, definitely would use it for that kind of thing. But yeah, the Phase 90, people of tube, by MXR, it's a legendary phaser pedal. It really is. It's just a legendary pedal, and it just sounds wicked. I've got this, actually, put this point in time, just to let you know where the signal chain is. I've got this wired in between my Marshall Governor and my Marshall Jackhammer. So during the distortion part, you heard the Marshall Jackhammer and the Governor together, but sandwiched between them two is the MXR Phase 90. I didn't like the MXR on the output side of the Governor. It just sounded too strong. And that's another thing as well. This is really signal chain dependent on where you like it. If you want it really strong, have it closer to the amp. If you want it a bit weaker, have it further away from the amp in the signal chain. I like it where it is, like between the Jackhammer and the Governor. It's sandwiched between them two. It just seems to work really nicely. It's just nice and mellow. It's just the perfect place for it to sit for me. But if you've got one of these things, you'll probably know that it is very signal chain dependent on where you want it and what it sounds like. It really changes the sound of the pedal depending on where you have it. But yeah, anyway, people tube, I'm going to come up with another loop to play you out on with this thing. I'm just going to leave it engaged. I'm going to have it on the. I'm going to about there. I'm going to have it at 9 o'clock. Actually, I'm going to create a backing track, and I'm going to do the entire solo with it at 9 o'clock. I'm going to try and do something really spacey and Dave Gilmour-esque. Really, but I'm sure Eddie will creep in there, and I'm sure Scott will creep in there at some point as well. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this vid, people of the tube. Like I say, these things are really, really cool. I recommend them. They really are one of those guitar pedals that I think every guitarist needs but doesn't realise they want. If that makes any sense, because I didn't, But I think they're just so cool. I really do. I mean, I am definitely I am loving it. I really am loving it. It's such a cool thing, and I love it to bits. It's so cool. And like I say, it's not a pedal I'd use all the time. It's not a mainstay pedal of mine that's going to stay on my board. But, what I mean, for every now and again and recording purposes, for textural guitars and stuff like that, and just kind of other stuff, job's a good one, definitely. Yeah, anyway, Pikachu, hope you enjoyed this vid, and I will see you again very soon for another one. Have a great morning, afternoon, and good evening. And yeah, very much goodbye now. Why not? Yeah, very much goodbye now. Thank you very much, goodbye now. That's what I wanted to say, but I couldn't say because I'm stupid. Anyway, let's create a backing track. See you later, everybody. Have a great one. Goodbye now. Thank you.
Yeah.